For Ember to Inferno and Ascendancy, we didn't really have fans, so we just made what we wanted to make. The Crusade, we wanted to try to see what else we could do as a band, and I think there was a little bit of maybe all of us, definitely with myself, I was trying to see, all right, well, people don't like us, maybe they'll like this, maybe they'll like that. And with Shogun, it was about tying it all together and to see what people would think of that. But within Waves, it was really about making visual art and auditory art the way that we wanted to see it, exactly what we wanted to hear and what we wanted to see, and make it all about the song. So we weren't thinking, are people going to like this? Are people going to dislike this? We just thought of, what do we want to hear? And I think that that's really what brought us back to that initial emotion of when we did our first couple records, something that was just very organic and very soulful versus like really planned out. But I do love the way that In Waves was the first song we released, and it is kind of, it throws people off because it's unlike any other song on the entire record. So when people hear it, they assume that is the entire record going to sound like this. And what I like about our band is every single record, you never know what you're getting from us. And so when In Waves is typically the first song that we play live, when it was the first song that came out for this record, it set an odd precedent because people weren't sure where we were going with the record, and I really like that a lot. For me, visual art was the only thing that really inspired me on this album. With music nowadays, I'm open to everything. Like, there's nothing I won't listen to if I think it's good. And I don't like to go into it thinking of reasons why I should like it. I like going off that gut instinct. Do I like it or do I not like it? And the biggest visual artists on this record that influenced me were film directors, like I mentioned before, like David Lynch and Lars von Trier, and like modern artists like Corey Archangel. Really, what the thing for visual art for me is because I'm incapable of making it, and I don't know how it's made, and I don't typically know why. And like I was just saying, I went to the Contemporary Art Museum today just to go look around at things that I don't want to know what the gallery thinks I need to think of it. And that's why I was happy it wasn't in English. So like, I don't like to read those explanations of what I'm supposed to take from it, what someone else thinks the artist was thinking. I like to just look at it and take of what I will as I will. And that's the main goal behind this record, that everything that is the visuals, everything that is the lyrics, everything that is the title, everything that is the music, that people can create their own definition of what they feel. Yesterday I did an interview and they were asking me, they're like, is In Waves about suicide? And I've done some where people ask me, is Forsake Not the Dream about finding faith or religion? And I like the fact that people can come up with their own things, trying to think of whether what I'm thinking or just taking of what they will from it themselves. And that's really, I think that's something that I learned from visual art, that I learned from art, that typically the artists won't put it out there. Like David Lynch never explains his films because he doesn't want to ruin what people can take from it. I will sometimes, like when I first started going to museums, and it's usually written by someone, not typically by the artist. Maybe someone who has an art degree, maybe someone who has an art history major, maybe someone who really does understand everything that's going into it. But I, for example, am a musician that I don't know music theory. I don't know how to read notes. I don't know, I have an idea of what key is. I have an idea of what it is to stay in key during a solo or for a vocal thing, but I like to just approach it at the most base instinct kind of thing. For some people it is, for some people it isn't. I think one of the big things that really started to make me want to do something different was years ago, I befriended this guy. John Paul Douglas did a lot of the art for the record. He did the photography, a lot of the concept stuff, and helped brainstorm basically a lot of the ideas that would go into this. And he's the one that got me into film. He was talking to me. He's like, I've looked at some of your old album artwork, because he's an indie kid. He's not into metal at all. And he's like, I just thought you were going to be some cliche death metal band, so I wouldn't have ever listened to you guys. But little did I know, I loved your music. I was like, okay. And then he started showing me the bands that he was into, started showing me the videos of all these other bands. And I noticed that metal, maybe it's getting a little bit better now, but a lot of the metal that I loved, a lot of my favorite bands, I was looking at their videos and all sticking to the same formula. It was sticking to the same set rules that Priest and Maiden set up 30 years ago when they were defining a genre, and nowadays people haven't really broken out of it. And so I really felt like we needed to make something that doesn't look the way it is supposed to look. It's not the way that a metal album is supposed to look or sound, or, for example, our videos, they have no performance, and our live DVD, no crowd, documentary, no color, things like that. Doing things our own way and trying to redefine what we are in this genre. Wow, that's a hard one.
People keep asking what's your favorite movie. I have done favorite movie
Soundtrack, that's really good. I mean, all time, or
I don't know.
maybe a couple favorites? Yeah, I'll list a couple favorites that, as of right now.
All
Like,
time is not possible.
Yeah, because it's always changing. But let me think. Let me think hard. Probably the Lost Highway soundtrack,
All right.
including the Angelo Badalamenti stuff, like the abstract, noisy, ambient stuff, and the bands that are on it, like Nine Inch Nails and Rammstein. For the fact that that movie had Rammstein in it 4 times is pretty amazing, but also having all the weird ambient stuff. So Lost Highway, probably either the Royal Tenenbaums or Life Aquatic. I love Mark Mothersbaugh, and he's like one of my favorite composers, and I love Wes Anderson. I love all the movies he does. It almost has like this classical thing, like very elegant classical music mixed in with tiny little electronic sounding music at the same time, and maybe Antichrist by Lars von Trier. It's just so abstract and so noisy that's something we used the Antichrist theme song for our intro for about, I think, a couple months until we started having our own intro stuff.
Maybe in recent movies and stuff? You've heard
Inception.
Yeah?
Yeah, Hans Zimmer.
That's cool.
Hans Zimmer is an incredible soundtrack guy. And then now that Trent Reznor's doing soundtracks too, his stuff's amazing. Yeah, I didn't see the movie The Social Network, but I heard the soundtrack. I think that might be a little too misleading, or that might be too leading towards something.
I know.
Yeah.
I was trying.
Yeah.
Trying.
I think once all the videos are out, people will be able to have the movie of In Waves.
Okay.
However many parts it is.
So I'm not
Oh yeah, they're all consecutive. Yeah, they're all consecutive. So hopefully all the videos for this record will all tie into one story.
okay, so we might get a little clearer for us.
At least for what the videos are.
Okay.
Maybe not the music.
Sweet.
I would say In Waves or Ascendancy first.
Yeah?
Yeah. The other ones might be kind of a hard starting point. Like if you were to start off on the Crusade, then go to something else, you'll be pretty shocked because it's so different. In Waves, for me, is the first time that we sound just like Trivium. Other records, there'll be times where we'd be like, maybe, oh, this sounds like this kind of genre, or maybe influenced by this kind of band. But in Waves, we've somehow found what is our sound. So it's probably the best introduction, that or Ascendancy. We just, when we were first flying over, I was listening to the new Dream Theater, and the whole flight over, I was like, oh man, I don't know if Dream Theater fans are gonna like us, and I started getting a little nervous. But from the very first note of the very first song of the very first show, the crowd was into it. And so every single day, the crowds have been amazing. And I've been asking the crowd every day who's seen us, who hasn't seen us, and it's been like 75 to 90% of the crowd first time ever seeing us, which is something we're not used to. Normally people at least know who we are, go into it whether, oh, I love the band or I hate the band, and they already know what they're going to think of us. But what's been amazing with the Dream Theater fans is, for the most part, they've never heard of us, which is great. And that way we can make their entire opinion of what they think of us through our set, through our 35 or 45-minute set. And by the end of our set, I think we're getting 95% of them into us, which is great. Typically on a tour when you're opening up and playing for someone else's crowd, you hope for half the crowd be into you. But this is almost 100% every single night. Yeah, and I thought the harder ones would have been like, I thought LA and San Francisco would have been hard, and those were great. Every single show has been amazing, and here, I'm not worried. Yeah. Yeah, we like to. I think we're really starting to do some great tours. We're doing a tour next year. I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet. I can't announce it, but it's going to be the same way, completely different as Dream Theater, but the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's going to be, again, people are like, that's happening, but it's going to be really good for us because that tour, the ticket prices will be really cheap. Our fans can come on out and they'll be able to support us. It'll be a nice long set, and I think the ability for us to be able to tour with different kinds of bands that we wouldn't normally be expected of, I think it's a great way to make new fans. They're picking all these orchestral style venues, and it works amazingly for them. For us, it's a little odd, but yeah, we just can't call for moshing, obviously, because it's not possible. But we've figured out how to hone the set to the venues. Some of our label was approaching us with, hey, maybe you guys should craft your set to more of like a Dream Theater taste bud kind of thing, like longer, proggier songs off the Crusade and Shogun. And we're like, you know what? Let's just do what we want to do. So basically, we nowadays we just do exactly what we want to play and how we want to play it. Like, I mean, we're opening up within waves on this tour, and I think that's really shocking a lot of the Dream Theater fans because it comes straight in with screaming, which is something they don't usually listen to, and very simple, very minimalistic, and short, a short song. So we like just doing what we do. I feel like it's better for us to be who we are than to try to craft for something. But obviously when opening or when doing festivals, we can't do the same kind of set in the way, like I won't talk as much. But when it's a headlining show, I'm probably going to be talking a lot. Heavy MTL and Wacken and London off that Mayhem tour were the best shows we've done. Well, we did an Iron Maiden support show in the middle of that, and then the Priest Wacken show. But those three were the best of the whole summer. MTL was so great. I hope we could do it again. Yeah, and the food was amazing. It had some like special Montreal chef. He was this guy that I guess he beat Bobby Flay on the Food Network or something like that. He's some well-known local chef. I wish I knew his name, but the food was insanely good. Yeah, it was like gourmet style poutine with like pork belly and stuff. It was really great. Yes, it is. It's amazing. Like today, you'll have to repeat the restaurant name for me. Yes, I went there today, and it was amazing, really amazing. My uncle works out here, and he lives out here, so he said, "Hey, I know this great place." Yep, he lives here. Yeah, and so he took me out there, and it was unbelievable. I really loved it. 3-course meal with wine for breakfast, and then yeah, it's great. My favorite things to do on tour is food, first of all eat, and then see museums, and then the local sites. So yeah, so there will be a Montreal version of my food blog. Only unfortunately one restaurant, unless we can find some cool places later. Like I wanted to hopefully after the show find some cool late night food places or something. I thought that'd be cool. Indonesia. I just didn't know what to expect, and we were hoping for like 500 people or so, and 5,000 showed up, and we're only there for a day, and I was like, I need traditional Indonesian food. And we were going to go walk around the streets, and they're like, well, maybe your stomachs aren't ready for street food yet. So they took us to a restaurant that does street food style stuff. And one of my favorite things I had there was this thing called nasi padang. It's this big banana leaf and stuff inside. It's like rice, half a chicken, and like a fish sausage, and all this like super spicy stuff. And what's cool about Indonesian food, it's all hand-based. You eat it with your hand, but they say you keep your like right knee like up here, and you kind of like shovel with your 3 fingers. And so I thought that was really cool. Like I like to eat the same way they eat too. So it was a really fun place. That definitely blew my mind. The one of the few things that I tried that I didn't like, it was in Japan because I'll try anything and I'll try that same thing again. But I guess this restaurant's take on it was a little weird. It was raw squid, which I've had. Raw squid marinated in its own guts with kimchi sauce. I've described it that it tasted like licking a whale's blowhole. It was a little too much. Yeah, I'll try it again though. Yeah. I definitely never eat fast food. I typically, if catering looks like a little weird at a venue, I won't eat it. I'll just eat healthy groceries that I picked out until I can find something awesome. And if it's a cool restaurant, I'm never really thinking, is this healthy or not? As long as it's from a good source, I'll eat it. Like if it's like well-sourced meat or anything like that, I'll eat it, no matter how much it is, how much food. Yeah, if it's like a local version of a fast food thing that's locals dig it, then I'll do it. But like an American chain fast food place, absolutely not. Yeah. That's really difficult. I guess it'd probably be like one of those like 20-course Japanese meal things, and every single thing is very different, and all the components are completely different, and small dishes of different complex things. That's probably it. That was kind of hard to figure out. Yeah, I'd say that. My mom's food, traditional Japanese. One last show. Mozart's Requiem.
Okay,
And one last, what was the third one?
The album, last album.
Damn. Let me think. That's tricky. Queen, Night at the Opera. Awesome. Merci beaucoup.
So,